Now look, I know I'm not the best Monster Hunter player. I'm not the best gamer in the world. I'm a pretty average, I consider myself an average guy. But the bar of how much you can suck at Rampage has just been lowered. Like we've just created a basement and just for this bar about how low it needs to go. Pidgey hunts. So welcome back, hunters, to another Monster Hunter Journal Rise edition, where I am wrapping up the end of Monster Hunter Rise. So I finished 1.0 in the last journal. Now I've completed 2.0, so that includes all of the new Elder Dragons that were included. And now all we have left ahead of us is 3.0. So let me recap the last two streams, the progress I've made, the monsters I've hunted, everything else as I've been playing this journey. If you are just joining us for the first time, there's a lot of videos to catch up on, as I have been introduced to the Monster Hunter franchise for the first time in my life since January of this year. I've been playing World and Rise and documenting my journey through both games. Now here we are in Rise, slaying some Elder Dragons. Let's get started with the important stuff. There was this one little quest missing in my village quest that was holding back the red check mark from my entire list. Well, I have found that quest, I have completed it, and now my entire village checklist all has red check marks. 100%. I feel like a certified hunter. I've passed the test with an A+ 100% grade. I can now quit this thing and go home happy. Now, I'm just kidding, of course. We've got a lot more to do in proper high rank with the guild hub. So I did my first multiplayer session and we unlocked a few things. I did the Apex Mizutsune Rampage so that we unlocked that. So when I hit Hunter rank 45, I can finally fight Apex Mizutsune. I finally unlocked the third farm, so now I have a full crew of submariners all out there gathering honey and other items for me. Also, that was a fun little sidetrack where I had to find like the pieces for the third sub, including going inside the pyramid. So for the first time, I've seen what was inside the pyramid. It wasn't much. It was just a relic. So another relic has been added to the collection. I've also discovered this weird altar, which everyone says there is a snake that comes out. I tried to make it to dust to see the snake. I don't know what it is. There's like a crack. It's an altar. It's very ominous. There's a crack and people say there's a snake that lives there. I have yet to see the snake. So now I have to revisit, I think, at dusk to see what this snake thing's all about. It seems like Mr. Snake has quite a reputation that precedes him. I've actually spent a bit more time in the training area to relearn the Gaijin Hunter super combo, which I learned a couple weeks ago. Turns out I didn't properly learn it. And now I know when I've got my sword out, it is AA, ZR, ZR, AA, ZR, ZR, and you just keep doing that on continuous, and that is how you get optimal damage with the switch axe in Rise. I mastered it. Well, I mastered it. I actually know what I'm doing now. So I'm doing it, and I've also switched out my switch skills so that I can zero-sum discharge and do the Wyvern Dive Bomb on it, which when you do the boom, you get like a 200 damage, and then when you Wyvern Dive, you get another 200 damage. Then I've learned that after that, I want to do the pull so that I can recharge my sword so I can go back into the damage. It's all like flowing. This has been what I've been struggling, I think, the most like this far into my journey is how do I freaking optimize? How do I actually play my switch axe optimally? And I think I've finally done it in Rise, where I don't think I can get more optimal than this outside of equipping better skills and all that. But in terms of the player and the controller mechanics, I've finally gotten to the optimal range of switch axe usage. So getting close to that mastery. So those are all of the key things. Now let's talk about monsters. So first thing in 2.0 was, you know what? Let's start with Kamilios, because that's where I went after at Hunter rank 20. Kamilios appeared. This was my first time encountering Kamilios. Apparently he's been around the series prior, and he caused me my second failed quest. I went in with a little bit too much bravado, and he just nope. This is kind of a trait of mine in all games I play. I tend to play them quickly and not always prepare properly for the next challenge ahead. And so I have not grinded much in this game at all. So my armor is a little, you guys all see Strawberry Samurai on the outside, but on the inside, it's a little lacking in the effectiveness. So I went with Kamilios with some fairly squishy armor that, well, A, squishy armor, B, bad mindset, 3, bad form, and all that led to 3 carts and a failed quest. So after that, I kind of went in, bumped up my armor a little bit, and we went back in, we being me, and I got a little bit more cautious and actually studied the monster, which is what I should have done from the start. Pretty cool monster. I was really scared about how I would deal with the invisibility part, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't as much of a problem as I thought it would be, and it got fairly predictable that it is a monster that, especially as a melee user, I need to do a lot of distance with it, especially when it drops like this gas bomb, this poison bomb, and it can either decide to spread that bomb out or suck that bomb inward, instantly poisoning you. So I was falling for that a lot in my first match. And the second, when I was seeing that it was doing that, I'm like, okay, when he does it, I just gotta book it. So it was a lot of like, book it, get close, boom, 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 book it. And when I was doing that, it became a lot more manageable. And of course he fell. So it was all about, don't be so aggressive with Kamilios. And with that, I believe that was my first I shouldn't say that, because the other serpents and stuff were Elder Dragons. But with that, my first 2.0 Elder was slain. Afterwards, there was the Apex Arzuros, which was my first single hunt Apex monster. So we did the Rampage many, many weeks ago. Now I went and fought him solo. This was a fun fight. I was not expecting this much challenge from an Arzuros, but man, he hit hard. And I had, this was done in the more recent week, so I got a little bit more armor upgrade for this fight and all the other monsters I'm going to be talking about. Apex Arzuros was just like so aggressive, but very linear, and I was able to read him, so I had a lot of fun with him. But when you messed up, oh my god, he just took your health bar like zoop, down. And at one point, he stole I brought honey just in case, because I'm like, does the Apex Arzuros steal my honey too? Because that creates a cool opening that I learned when I fought normal Arzuros. And at one point I messed up, he grabbed me and he stole my honey. I was like, does this give me an opening? And there he is, just being all poo-like and eating his honey. And I'm just bashing with the switch axe. And at this point, not on Kamilios, but on this monster and all the other ones, I was doing my switch axe combo properly. And I was like, oh man, so much damage. This is feeling so good. And then he like tossed the honey. He's like, oh, he also had he could like fly in this one. Like he had a really cool ground pound where he's just like, it looks like he's flying. The animation looks ridiculous. Apex Arzuros, way better than Arzuros. If this is how all the other Apex fights are going to be like, I'm in for a treat. I say that cautiously because I know the other monsters. I know Apex Zinogre is waiting for me at Hunter rank 100. I'm like, out of all the monsters, why did they need to make Zinogre a freaking Apex monster or an Apex variant? Zinogre is my bane in this game. And now there's an Apex one hanging out with my buddy Diablos with an Apex Diablos, both of them waiting for me at Hunter rank 100. I'm just like, oh, that's gonna hurt so much. That's like, those are my black dragons of Rise. So Apex Arzuros was a fun fight. Then Kushala, so at Hunter rank 30, we unlocked Kushala. This one I wasn't worried about because I really enjoyed Kushala in World, which is an unpopular opinion apparently. And people said that they made Kushala much better in Rise. I'm like, all right, let's go see what it is. First thing, I'm like, oh, it's so tiny. Everything in Rise is tiny. So the Kushala looked a little tiny. And I was a little bit more cautious this time, but not too much. The thing I loved about Kushala in World was the fact that I could read its attacks from the get-go. When the first time I encountered this thing, I was like, oh my god, this thing is terrifying. It's like a beast. It was like one of my first Elder Dragons ever. But I was like, oh, I know what it's gonna do. It's like, it's gonna charge at me, it's gonna do this. And same thing in Rise, where I always saw an opening to go bonk it on the head and then swing, and now, okay, it's doing a tornado blast. Let's move to the left, to the right. I thought it was a really good fight. It was a very nice dance. There wasn't too many. I think people didn't like the tornadoes in World, that he covers himself in tornadoes, preventing you from getting close. That's not really a problem in Rise. So it was just a really good time. It hit pretty hard too, but because all the moves were easy to read, or easier to read, it really felt like my fault when I got hit. So it wasn't frustrating at all. I love that I could attack from the side and not get like side check. I could attack from the back. It doesn't have a crazy tail attack. It was just a very nice, comfortable fight. And if I had to pick between this one and like all the other ones I've talked about, Apex Arzuros I think is still better than Kushala as a fight in this game. So next up we had we increased Hunter rank again, and we went up to 40 this time, and we unlocked Diostra, which was a bane of mine in World. He destroyed me so many times. He burnt me alive, supernovaed me. So I was going into this with some sweat. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be terrible. So people did ask me to compare like the intro. I love how in episode 1 of these journal series of Rise, I'm like, I will not compare World and Rise, but it's inevitable, I guess. In Diostra's intro, they're like, which one's better? World is more epic. I prefer World. And that's usually the answer to everything. World is just more of an epic flavoring than Rise. So they're completely different flavors. It's like, which one's better? Barbecue or sweet and sour? It's like, well, they're very different flavors. It's kind of hard to compare them side by side. Anyways, food aside. Diostra, I was comfortable with him at first and I was doing pretty good. And then he killed me once and then he ran into me and I died. So I was extremely squishy for this fight as well. Again, keep in mind my armor is not where it should be. And then I was like, oh no, he's going to make me fail a quest. And because I had such a good run on the before I carted for the first time, I was like, okay, I might have a chance. But then I died so fast on the second cart from something I didn't even see coming. I went full on defensive mode where I like stay very far, go in with an axe attack, back up. Like it was a dishonorable fight where I'm like just being extremely cautious so that I'm not put off by anything. But that let me see where the supernova attack happened. I was far enough to avoid it. I was able to like see everything and just go in cautiously. It was a really terrible fight to watch, I'm sure, because I was being so cautious. But honestly, I did not want to lose to Diostra. In the end, I actually got through it. I say I cheesed it, but like I used everything I could. Like any monster I could find, I rode it. Whatever environmental impact I could have on it, like anything I could do to have an advantage on this monster, I did it. And that's the hunter way, so you can't fault me for that. I'm using the tools the game has given me. So Diostra has fallen. And overall, it was a good fight. I just think I need better armor to not be so squishy, and I need to play him a little bit more. But man, the music on Diostra, so good. So good. And the music of Kamilios, I didn't talk about Kamilios' theme song. It was the first time I heard it. And that one was good too. And I'm just like thinking, I want to make sure this isn't an embarrassing position where I'm like, oh yeah, that Kezu theme song was really good. Like I loved it. Like I'm pretty sure Kezu's the only one that has a silent theme, I hope. So all of those fights were good. I had a good time with it. Now here's the embarrassing part. And please do not go back and watch the stream of this specific rampage. So I went in to do an Apex Rathalos rampage so I could unlock Apex Rathalos for when I eventually get to that hunter rank to fight him. And I don't know why I went into that. People are like, you can't fail rampage, so just go and do it. And I went in unprepared, I think it's like a 7-star rampage, and that intimidated me. And I went in solo for some reason instead of going in multiplayer, and it was a mess. It was so bad, and I don't know what caught me off guard. That, like, I don't know why it was so bad, but it was bad. Like, I was being overwhelmed constantly. My installations, like, I think I was like panicking, so I wasn't being optimal in what I was doing with my installations. I think I was really like put off by the fact that it said 7-star. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to fail. So I had already like mentally gone into this with a defeated mindset, and I'm just getting tossed aside, and they're just destroying all the walls, and people are like, you can't fail. I was like, I will show you that you can probably fail. Well, a whole like 30 minutes of massacre and terrible gameplay later, I slayed Apex Rathalos in what is the worst rampage in recorded streamer history. I don't know how the gate didn't fall, but all I can say now is I'm pretty sure it's impossible to fail a rampage, because that was the most garbage gameplay I've ever put on display for anyone. It was terrible to watch, it was terrible to play, and I'm embarrassed by it. But we made it through. We unlocked Apex Rathalos, Apex Mizutsune, and Apex Rathian, which are going to be waiting for me when I go back. So that's my progress so far. We are now at 7 monsters remaining, unless they had some new ones, for me to complete my pledge with Rise. I have 5 Apex monsters left to hunt, which are Apex Rathian, Rathian, Mizutsune, Rathalos, Zenogre, Diablos. We got those 5 on the hit list. And then I've got 2 new monsters, which is the final boss of 3.0, and the jet engine from 3.0. I forget what his name is. Valstrax or something. Once those 7 are done, Monster Hunter Rise pledge complete, and we will be moving on to new pledges. So I've already been grinding my rank so that when we go into Tuesday's stream, I will be at Hunter rank 50, which is where the 3.0 story ending ends. I'll be able to knock out Apex Rathian, Mizutsune, and the boss, which will take 3 down. Then it's going to be a sweaty grind to Hunter rank 100, where I will have wonderful, terrible pain waiting for me with the final 4 monsters to take down there to complete my pledge. And I'm pretty sure I can get that done in the next few weeks. So that is my progress with Rise. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're almost done with pledge number 2 for 2021. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I hope I see you on the next stream or on the next journal. But until then, keep it classy.